Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Law and Crime Network. I'm Jesse Weber, and thanks for joining us here on the program where we cover the most interesting live trials and legal stories in the news today. We have two live events that we're going to talk about and also a trial we just finished up yesterday, so a lot to talk about. Let's get started. And we're going to see more of that suppression hearing later today. We believe the judge will end it by noon, so maybe we'll get a decision about what's going to happen with this tape, or maybe the judge will need to think about it. But right now, let's talk about a different aspect of this case. And joining me is forensic psychiatrist Dr. Carole Lieberman. And doctor, I have some questions for you about this case. If it's true that Robert Kraft did this, why would a man at his age, who's so wealthy, why would he put himself in this position to go to a spa at a strip mall in Florida to receive these services, these illegal sex acts, when if he wanted to get something else, he could have had other ways of doing it? He could have had someone brought to his room, brought to his house. You know, why go there? Why even do this?
Well, one reason would be if it was a very impulsive decision to get these services, and it was just easy, you know, and I'm sure he thought that no one would ever know about it. You know, he's 77 years old. He's surrounded by athletes normally. He has to have some questions about his own masculinity, you know, how, I mean, of course he's super rich, so there are women who would be attracted to him and go out on a date with him and want to, you know, try to lasso him. So yes, he didn't have to go to a sleazy massage parlor, but it's just that sense of anonymity, you know. I mean, yes, in a way you'd think it would be more anonymous if somebody came to his house, but on the other hand, this seemed more anonymous in another way, that this was just going to be a quick thing that he did and didn't have to make preparations and all of that, and certainly didn't have to get into a relationship.
So it was quick, easy, anonymous. So you think that if he really did do this, he went there with the expectation that they wouldn't know who he is and he could just get what he wants? Because let's not forget, after he leaves that spa, investigators are saying they pulled him over and he identified himself as Robert Kraft and even showed off his Super Bowl ring. So in other words, at that point, when he's in trouble with the police, he then uses his profile to try to get out of trouble. So am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, but I'm not sure. I mean, at that point, I don't know that did they explain why they were pulling him over and that it related to that massage parlor?
Not yet, no. It was something unrelated, if I'm correct. But I mean, they even allowed him to. They didn't arrest him. He actually went back to the spa the next day.
So I think he didn't. You know, he was just using his "Do you know who I am?" kind of thing, and not knowing that was going to get him into that kind of trouble. You know, it was one thing to run a red light, and it's another thing to realize that what they're really trying to get him for.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have more to dissect with this, and I want you to stand by because there's a lot of questions that I have if ultimately he is, you know, responsible for this, if he really did do this. So, okay, so there's a little bit of an audio feed right there, a little bit of an issue. So back with me again is Dr. Carole Lieberman. Doctor, before we jump back, I still am breaking this down with you. I guess let's just talk about the idea of prostitution in general. Most people that would engage in this kind of behavior, that would go to these kinds of places, is there a general theme? Is there a common theme that you see? You talked earlier about Robert Kraft, a big thing about him, maybe anonymity, going places where they didn't know him, he could get what he wanted. But do you see a common theme for people that receive these kinds of services?
Well, you know, obviously they're not satisfied sexually in their real life, whether they are married or, you know, have a girlfriend or, I mean, it could be someone who is just not satisfying them sexually if they have somebody at all. But also there's some additional titillation about the fact that you are doing it in this kind of seedy sort of place, that this forbidden kind, you know, it's not a regular kind of relationship. There is something a taboo that can, for some people, make it a little more exciting.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's finding love at a strip mall day spa, but hey, you know, who's the judge? All right, apologize, everybody. The feed is still a little choppy. Doctor, I'm back with you. I know we're trying to get a sense of what's happening here, but you and I are still trying to break down exactly what happened. The idea, you mentioned also, again, about people who visit these spas or, engage in receiving illegal sex acts. Again, Robert Kraft pled not guilty, but I'm just asking from a general point of view. You said it's also that they may not be receiving something that they want. Is there also a power dynamic to it?
Yes, that's part of it. Feeling like you're in control. The man feeling like he's in control, as opposed to sort of a real life kind of situation, which can be a lot trickier and more complex. I just want to say, though, these two witnesses that we've seen so far are not very likable. The woman who claims that she doesn't know what a girl is, and this man is being really hostile, as you said, and they're just not very likable witnesses.
Well, at this point, it doesn't matter because there's no jury. It's all up to the judge. And the judge just has to hopefully follow the law and see what was going on. It is interesting to see this case move out because if you ever want to talk about a case about warrants and illegal search and seizures or secret cameras, I mean, this is a prime case to see what's going to happen, and it's an interesting legal argument. You hear Kraft's attorney saying that this was a legally obtained warrant. It wasn't necessary. It was obtained under false pretenses. The methods used by investigators were improper. I just want to get more to the human aspect of this, though. Doctor, I want to ask you one other thing. You talked about earlier that if Robert Kraft did this, one of the things about it is that, he was going in there hoping to be anonymous. He's such a public figure. But do you think one of the turn-ons for people is also the idea of anonymity for the person performing the act, that they don't know who this person is and that perhaps they are not their wife? They're not their girlfriend. And even if they have really healthy relationships or they're not missing anything from there, the idea of getting something from this person who is a complete stranger to them, is that a turn-on for them?
Yes, it can be. I mean, kind of in the way that we were talking about before, as far as a control, that the man is more in control. Also, yes, there's always, for any relationship, actually, the idea of newness. For example, when couples go on vacation, they often have better sex than when they're in their usual home bedroom. But I just want to say, I think I can't help thinking that this is somewhat of a tempest in a teapot. And if Robert Kraft hadn't been one of the men in this sting operation, entrapment, in my idea, we wouldn't be paying attention to it. I mean, he has been punished enough. I hope that the tape doesn't get to be, that the judge doesn't decide that the tape can be public. But even if it isn't, he has been punished enough by all of this humiliation. And it just kind of seems like once they realized that one of the men, or that it was Robert Kraft, that they doubled up on this, that they made this more of a, we're going to get him kind of thing.
Well, whenever you have the celebrity aspect, it does get more media attention. We see it with the college admissions scandal as well. Look, he's pled not guilty here. He's trying to fight it. He's trying to get this tape thrown out. And at the end of the day, the big thing I would imagine for him is he doesn't want to lose his team. So he's fighting two battles here, and it's a tough battle to make. Well, you can see that there are no love lost between the lead investigator and Robert Kraft's defense attorney. What his attorney is basically arguing is that they didn't need to put these secret cameras in because they had other evidence showing prostitution. And if it wasn't necessary to have those in, is this warrant, was it even justified? Was this surveillance footage even justified? Should it be thrown out? That's the main question. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be back live in this courtroom. Stay tuned.